All right, sideways with a mild downtick is what the flavor of the day is. In fact, we try to recover, but to no avail. And right now at 1 o'clock, we are trading near day's low. So it will be interesting to see how it pans out from here on. Yesterday was very difficult for short term guys, especially the last hour of trade, and so was the gap down this morning. Some recovery, but it has been very volatile. One area of the market which is continuously getting re-rated for its own merit as well as the efforts which the government is taking, and that is the PSU space. Shiv Chanani is joining us now to discuss more on that. Shiv, first of all, let me congratulate you that you have taken up or you put out a very detailed report and note observations on an area which everybody is talking about and wants to know more about. Which are the ones which are fundamentally sound PSUs, where there is structural change happening, and which can be avoided? First of all, what's your broad hypothesis for the PSU space in India, which was never regarded as investment grade in the first place till some time back?
Good afternoon, and thanks for the kind words. So basically, when we are talking about the PSU space, what we are talking about is that there are three key drivers that we see at this point of time. The first driver being the valuations itself. Uh, if you look at most of the PSUs, they are trading at single-digit PE on a FY22 basis, and even when we look at our in-house model, a lot of those are actually factoring in negative value from a longer term perspective, which basically means that a market is expecting that the earnings will decline for most of these companies going forward beyond the foreseeable future. So first of all, clearly there is a huge amount of margin of safety in terms of valuations for the PSUs. The second driver being the natural resources prices. As we know that most of the natural resources prices, be it the hard commodities or the soft commodities, they have been on an uptick and they have been surprising everybody for the last maybe 12 months uh, because of several reasons. The recovery in the developed market being higher than what one would have expected, as well as the supply constraints. And as we know that one of the big part of the PSU space is dominated by the natural resources companies, be it the ONGCs or the GAIL or the Steel Authority or NALCO, so on and so forth. So clearly from an earnings tailwind perspective, these companies clearly benefit from a higher natural resources prices. And the third and most also as important driver being the disinvestment by government. So clearly, this is something which have been there for a long period of time. But the recent disinvestment of Air India has certainly given one more leg up and higher confidence in terms of the capability of the government to execute and go ahead in terms of the disinvestment. So we believe that these three drivers, being margin of safety and valuations, higher natural resources prices, and potential disinvestments are the key drivers for the re-rating in the PSU space.
Right. Shiv, when you speak to your institutional clients, where do you find most curiosity? Because if you break up the PSU basket into different categories, one is the PSU banks, which itself is larger PSU banks are considered investment grade, the lower ones are trading only. Then there is defense PSUs, where there seem to be huge interest. And then there are structural divestment candidate PSUs. Talk to us about what kind of conversations are your clients having regarding PSUs with you?
So I think it will be a little wrong on my part to paint the entire space with the same brush. So certainly different clients have different kind of appetites and different kind of investment mandates. So there will be few people who are more interested in structural stories like let's say defense as you talked about, which has actually nothing to do with this investment, but it's a longer term structural story. Then there are investors who are looking for value, and those people will certainly be interested in the PSU banks, given the fact that most of their pain in terms of the bad loans is behind them. Uh, and then you have investors who are looking at unlocking value through the disinvestment route. So I think pretty much investors are taking their own picks and their own way of looking at things, depending on what their investment philosophy and investment mandate is.
Right. Talk to us about, in your view, out of the entire space, what are the other revaluation triggers which you see in some of them? If you could take some examples.
So it will be difficult for me to talk on a stock specific basis. But as I mentioned earlier, I think the two key drivers for the valuations in the PSUs, I mean, of course, we know that at the end of the day, the market always respects earnings. So as soon as and at some point of time, as you start to see the earnings tailwind coming through, is the point when the investors also start to get interested into the stocks. So as I mentioned earlier, higher natural resources prices clearly are one of the big drivers of earnings, and hence the interest in the PSUs. And I think also potential unlocking of value from the disinvestment perspective. We have seen a couple of examples in the past as to when those PSUs got disinvested, the kind of value accretion that took place for the company as well as for the investors. So I think, yeah, I would probably look at those two pockets as being the key drivers.
How's the ownership? Have institutions started coming in this pocket or not yet? It's more of retail HNI right now.
So I think we are seeing definite interest from the institutional investors as well in the PSU space. So for example, let's say there will be some clients who were not willing to look at this space at all 6 months ago, and at this point of time they are willing to reconsider and have a look at it. So yes, the interest levels are clearly going up.
So one is, of course, the commodity uptick earnings.
Yes.
What about some of the PSUs which are really trying to improve their technological advantage? Some defense-oriented ones. What is your research throwing about that? Is there interest there as well?
Yes, so I think there is an initial interest in that space as well. But I think more interest will come through as and when people start to see the proof of concept. So yes, people are warming up to that possibility also, like you mentioned about the defense sector, the huge opportunity that is there in terms of the indigenization of a lot of equipments in India. Clearly, that is going to throw up a significant amount of opportunity.
Right. So you are saying that there is a big case for re-rating over here, and one should be hunting for good quality ideas. And this time, this re-rating could be durable.
Yes, in quite a few cases, this can be durable, like what we talked about. If the earnings are supportive, and some of these companies are able to get to the next level in terms of the operations, and capitalize on the opportunities that are going to be thrown up from an indigenization perspective. Yes, a lot of them can be durable in nature.
All right, Shiv, nice chatting. We'll let you go
Right.
on that one. Thanks so much for highlighting
Thanks.
uh, the PSU space on valuation front is looking good. Let's take a short break on that note. On the other side of the break, more news and updates and analysis. Don't go anywhere.